and we're moving on into the tech industry together with Sleep Cycle and a presentation that will be held by their CFO, Erik Jivmark. Please welcome.
Thank you. CEO Erik Jivmark. Thank you very much. Hi everyone, I'm Erik Jivmark. I'm the CEO of Sleep Cycle, and I will talk about a subject that I think we all can relate to, which is sleep. And we have millions of people using our technology every night. So sleep is fundamental to life. It has a lot of positive benefits in regards to your health, your mental health, your overall performance, and well-being. And we know it's an essential lifestyle contributor to both your being a good partner in life, but also performing at work. And this isn't just data. This is something that I believe all of us can relate to. In fact, 57% of all Americans says that they will be better and feel better if they got more sleep. So our mission is very straightforward. How can we help 8.1 billion people who wake up every morning? And we know that 6.7 billion also own a smartphone. That is our customers. Those are our market. Our mission is to improve global health, and we do this by enabling people to take control of their sleep. We're doing this with the help of the app and the technology that we have, which allow them to go to sleep better with the sleep programs that we offer. We allow them to analyze their sleep pattern and see changes over time with the data that we provide. And we also make them feel rested when they wake up with a smart alarm that we have a patent for. All in all, we have millions of people using our app every month. So what we have done is that we have built a world-leading app on a technology that we own. It's proprietary to us, and it means that we can harvest the amount of data that we have received. As of now, we have more than 3 billion nights of data. And we use this data, of course, to do product development, but also to let the user understand what the choices that they have made in their daily active life, how that contributes to their overall health and sleep. We're available on all the platforms out there, so iOS, Android, and Huawei, and we're also on smartwatches. As I said, we have more than 2.1 million active users in more than 150 markets. So we're a truly global company. But we have also managed to leverage the technology that we own and the data that we collect to build truly disruptive technologies. So one example is something that we launched late last year, which is our cough radar. So what we realized is that since we use the iPhone or the smartphone or the smartwatch to listen to the users to make them feel wake up feeling rested, we used that data and started to develop a new product. And by doing this, we can actually monitor fully anonymously coughing patterns throughout the world. And this is something that, of course, have gained a lot of interest from media, but also in the partnerships dialogues we are in right now. We will further explore the opportunities that the data gives us, and I think this is something that we should keep an eye on for the future. We have the core product that I will show you in a while, but we also have the data that we collect that we will further explore the value in. It's easy to say that you have a lot of data, but we wanted to really see how good was it. So last summer, we basically did an overlay of the data that we have, which is the blue bar, where we see the coughing events on an anonymous number of consumers in the US. And we overlaid that with, in this case, the peak for Omicron, so the COVID case. And we could see that the peak for the coughing events was approximately 2 weeks before confirmed COVID cases. And this is something that we are really scratching our head to see the value in this data, because the powerful tool we have, it's basically an early monitoring system. And that's something that we are quite excited about, see how we can take further. So let's talk a little bit about who we are as a company and where we're heading. We've been around for a long while. We're a market leader. We have 68 million downloads cumulative over the years. We have some solid patents in our portfolio, both in regard to the smart alarm, but also when it comes to snoring detection. We operate in the mHealth market, which is, depending on how you size it, roughly 700 billion SEK. But if you take the sleep tech market as a portion of that, you see it's around 2.5%, which indicates a good potential for future growth. And we believe we are well positioned to capture this growth. We are the market leaders. We are a truly global presence. United States constitutes around 40% of our sales. And you can see on the footprints in the top markets that we are spread out across the globe. So this is not a European product or a Swedish product or an American product. We are relevant across the world. If we go back a couple of years, we can see that we have consistent annual growth, both in terms of revenue and subscriptions. So to the left-hand side, you see the subscriber growth that we have. And subscribers are the paying users that we have in our service. As you can see in 2022, there was a dip, and this is correlated with the time when we made a price increase of 30%. But as you can see in the last 2 quarters, we're back on the growth trajectory again. The revenue on the right-hand side, which is our net revenue per quarter, has a steady growth, as you can see. If we zoom in on Q1, which is the latest numbers that we have shared with the market, we can see that we managed to grow year over year in subscribers. ARPU, which is the average price per user, we also saw a growth of 10%. We are in Q1 at 893,000 paying users, with an average of 276 in ARPU. If we look at the EBIT margin, it was 22%. However, adjusted, it was 31%. So we are a very profitable business. So if we look ahead, we shared with the market in March our new strategic focus areas. And it's basically divided into 3 different areas. One is user acquisition, the other one is user engagement, and the third one is leveraging platform and data. The first 2 is us doubling down on the core product. This is ours to win. So user acquisition is about broadening the upper funnel. Already today, we have 80% of our installs comes from organic traffic. That's a number that a lot of competitors would envy. 80% comes through word of mouth or through other organic sources. We want to have that growth loop and supercharge it. So we will work with upper funnel activities to have earned reach. One example is all the data that we have. We will leverage that data to create interesting stories that media will write about. This will increase our visibility without spending marketing dollars. We saw a sign of it last week, actually. Wall Street Journal mentioned us in an article, and I saw this morning it was picked up in some Swedish newspapers as well. So user acquisition is all about let the loved product that we have and the user speaks for us instead of us spending marketing on it. User engagement is about building habits. So we have a habit-forming product. We need to help the user to create those habits and to maintain them. There are a lot of tricks in the books on how to do that, how you reward the user for coming back each day. If you want to use streaks or badges, there are all kinds of things you can do. In the end, we know we have a product that people love, and we will help them to reach their goals. The third one, we haven't spoken that much about yet. It's a future bet, I would say. A key differentiator between us and the competitors is that we own our own technology, which means that we can leverage the platform and do things like the cough radar. So having a technology that we control together with more than 1 million people every night sleeping with our application, generating the amount of data, we believe there are quite some value here. These are early days, but if I would look at this from taking a bet point of view, this is the area where we will be pursuing. So the financial objectives, well, we want to double the earnings in the medium term. We aim for 25% EBIT margin on an annual basis. And as you might have remembered, in Q1, we operated at a much higher level than 25%, meaning that we have some dry powder in case we see opportunities that comes across to fuel our growth. With that said, we will keep a tight cost control. We have the 25%, that is the target in terms of EBIT margin, and we also have a dividend of 40 to 60% of annual net profits every year. So to sum up, we have a very clear position. We have proven in the last couple of quarters that the decline we saw in the subscriber growth, we have managed to turn that around. We have the ammunition, the dry powder to go after the opportunities when we see them. We are not short of cash. We are generating cash. It feels nice to be a technology company to say that we have a positive EBIT margin. We have a strong underlying market trends. So sleep used to be something concerning people maybe that had a hard time to sleep only. We see now in the society in general, and also the discussions and the contacts that we get, that sleep is actually a key ingredient to reach other goals. In fact, if you want to lose weight, scientists say you need to do 3 things. You need to eat healthier, you need to exercise more, and you need to sleep better. And more scientists actually claim you only need to do 2 things. Just eat healthier and sleep better, and you will reach your goals. That speaks loudly about the opportunity we have in adjacent segments. We will have extremely sharp focus on cost control and user acquisition going forward. We will continue to drive the upper funnel through the organic reach that I already shared. And I believe that we have a huge potential in the data that we collect. Up until now, we have used it mainly for internal purposes of product development. Going forward, I see that we will start to explore the possibility to monetize anonymous data. Anonymous is the key word. We will never sell user data that can be tracked back to a person. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you for that presentation, and I have a few questions on my end. And I think we should get started by the average revenue per customer, which grew around 11% this quarter. That's in line with the net revenue, and price increases has been relevant after high cost inflation. And how have you been managing to increase your prices during the last few years, and how do you view your pricing power going forward?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So back in 2022, we did a price hike. I cannot describe it in any other way. So we increased the prices with 30%. And we saw that the subscriber took a hit, which is natural if you increase the price with 30%. That has driven the increase in ARPU. So our business, it's basically 2 parts. So we sell a yearly subscription that you usually sign up through your smartphone or your smartwatch. And you come in at the price where you sign up. And then you renew at that price every year. So every new user will come in at the higher price. Every renewed user will come in at the price they came into from the beginning. So that's how the mechanics are. So we have, it's a subscription business in the sense that we have recurring users coming back every year, resubscribing. I believe going forward, we need to work much more diligently with price. I think we cannot just, increase the prices with 20% and hope that people will stay. We need to work with price every day. There are different purchase powers in different regions, in different markets. I think we have been too much of a blanket approach, where we basically made the same price increase at all different markets. So we will work with price every day, and we have already started to do so. And the benefit we have 20,000 people almost downloading the app every day. 20,000 people. So if you want to try something like a price change, you get very quickly to get an answer if this was right or wrong. We will see.
Short question. Are you pricing similarly between all the different markets, or do you have, for example, a higher price within the US where the consumer is...
It's surprisingly similar, I would say. There are some nuances.
And moving forward, you've increased your financial targets,
yes.
which we saw on the screen, and focusing now on user growth. Could you give an example on what concrete measures you will be taking?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned some of the upper funnel activities. I mean, we have such a loved product today. 80% of everyone that comes in comes organically. It speaks loudly to the product market fit that we have. However, we don't encourage the user today to share the content. So we saw, for instance, one example is that a lot of people want to share the content. It makes sense, right? It says something about where you are, what the state of mind you have. So people want to share that. They want to share it with their partner, or we even realized when we started to see the time of the day where people were showing the screen or sharing that they probably also should talk with colleagues about it at lunch. So we want to encourage and make it easier for users to share their content, and by that we think we will improve the organic growth loop even further. That in combination with the rich stories we can tell. Again, even though we are a decent-sized company, we're too small to spend marketing money on building brand, given our global footprint. If we were only one market, maybe. But we are a global market, so we can't do that. Instead, we will rely on PR to tell rich stories, and that also build credibility. And we just started with the PR work. We see how that starts to fill up the upper funnel already, so we have some positive signs, even though it's early days.
Interesting. And you also talked about increasing new revenue streams by leveraging your technology and the data. Could you give an example about what this could mean?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really shared it yet, what we're working on. I think I leave to your imagination in terms of what Cough Radar is an example. I mean, we can potentially predict a COVID outbreak. It's big words to say. I mean, we need to validate it further, but we see some early signs. You can just imagine where you could apply that value in other industries or even in the society as a whole. But we will come back to that.
I see. And talking about growth prospects, we also have another Swedish consumer app coming in later today, Truecaller. And where do you see your biggest growth opportunities going forward? Specifically, in which regions do you see them?
I mean, it's a very good question. I mean, sleep is, I mean, we all sleep, hopefully. So it's not specific to a certain geography. So when I look at our top growing markets right now, I see Mexico, I see South Korea, but I also see Italy. So it's not as easy to say this is an emerging market, this is India, or no, it's actually spread out. And the same when I look at our customer base. We have roughly as many 18 years old as we have 65 years old in our product. So I think there is maybe a perception that this is something for a younger audience. It's not at all. Our users, this is something that we all can relate to.
And well, since this is a global market and a product that can be used by literally everyone, how do you view the competition? And especially perhaps from players like Apple and Google, who might be able to integrate this sort of solution directly into their phone. How do you view the competitive landscape?
So I don't see Apple as a competitor. I don't see Google as a competitor. It's sometimes a question that I receive, the concern, what if Apple would do this? Well, I think first of all, we need to be clear with, even though Apple don't share publicly the gross margin they have on App Store, but I can tell you that much, it's pretty good. They take 30% of my revenue already just to be on the App Store. So they have quite a big share of what we pull in. That's the platform fee we have to pay, just like anyone else. The benefit of that is that they take care of a lot of stuff for us, taxes, distribution, etc., that we don't need to invest in. So that's one part of it. I think it's quite profitable. The second thing is, actually, Apple decided to go into running. So they started with a more advanced running app of their own. And then what happened with the established players in the running segment, they actually took off. They received a hyper growth as a consequence of that. Because just Apple having their share of voice, pushing running, people started to use Apple's own app. And then they wanted something more advanced. They wanted something, the next level. So they went to Strava is a good example you can look at. Strava had a fantastic growth when Apple started to push running themselves. So I don't see them as a competitor. It's rather a very, very valuable partner to us.
Interesting. And right now you have around 150 million in cash position, a positive cash flow, and a low debt, and also, from what I can tell, a quite low need for investments. How do you view your capital allocation in terms of dividend or acquisitions and so on?
I mean, we're always on the lookout if we see opportunities arise. For us, it's important to have the good cost control that we have. So we have the possibility, if we see something we want to invest in, if that is an acquisition or if that is us just accelerating our own development, that time will tell. But we have said we have 40 to 60% in dividend policy, and we will of course honor that. And I think you should see this more as a sign of a strength, that we are quite a cash generating business, and we have the opportunities to act when we see the potentials coming across, and I think we will see more action going forward.
Interesting. And just one last question from my end. What will be the most important data for investors to follow during 2024, 2025?
I think first of all, it's good maybe to keep an eye on the segment in general. It is a truly global product and market, and you see more and more other players starting to talk about it. I would keep an eye on sales and subscriber growth for the underlying business. And then maybe on the lookout for what we can do in terms of the data that we have and if we manage to capitalize it as we want. Overall, it's a very healthy company that are ready to take the next step in terms of the growth cycle that we're setting ourselves up for.
Thank you so much, Erik Jivmark.
Thank you.